Hey everyone, it's Cynthia, and I want to welcome you to the first Wednesday webinar. And what I'm going to be doing on these Wednesday webinars is I'm going to be sharing myself with some of the great things that the Lord has taught me and some of the great nuggets that I want to share with you. But I also have these fabulous friends online who are really doing cool stuff, and they see things just a little bit differently. And if you know me, I love to hear other people's views. I love to hear their stories. And so today I have a new friend, just known her, I don't know, maybe a couple of months. And she's going to share with you and us some new things that she's doing. And what I love about meeting April is I saw her online, and one of the first things I remember her saying says, if you're going to hear from me, you're going to hear about Jesus. And I thought, oh, I love her. And then I reached out to see if we could get together and chat and talk about some of the things we're doing. So welcome, April. So appreciate you coming on and being with us today. And so take it away. Tell us about your story and how you got started. I'm really looking forward to hearing from you today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's my favorite subject. I feel like Buddy the Elf when they say Santa's coming and somebody says, I love Jesus. I'm like, oh, I know him.
That's fabulous.
So it's just so fun. Well, thank you for having me, and I appreciate you helping all of us expand our reach, which really is what we are designed to do. Once we become believers, if we weren't in charge of recruiting after that, we would just get to go to heaven right away. But
Exactly.
we're all still here
Good point.
because our new job, you always see those memes that it's like you had one job. And so we have one job. My job is not to make money. My job is not to, keep the house running. All those are side jobs of mine. But my job is to share that Jesus died for you.
Yeah.
Whoever's listening to this, if you were the only one on this earth, he would have still come to die just for you. And so I grew up in church. I was blessed to be able to have this poured into me all these years. But again, you still have to make that decision for yourself. And so I've got a lot of missionary friends all over the world. And my husband was saved in a mission church in Spain when he was in the military. So missions are very close and near dear to our hearts. We've always supported missions, but I always felt like I was just on the writing the check piece of the puzzle. I didn't ever really see myself as a missionary because I didn't go. I didn't marry a missionary, and so I didn't know what really my role could be other than just to, throw money at the problem, right? And I went to visit a friend of mine. They used to live in Kosovo, which is where they served for many years. She's one of my BFFs. Like I just would die for her. And they have 4 kids, and they were living in Kosovo at the time. And my husband was off for 2 weeks, and I was on the phone with her, and she says, "Ooh, he's off for 2 weeks. That's long enough for you to come see me." And so this was in 2018 when my kids were still home and I was still doing mom taxi and games and all the things. So I cleared my schedule and I got on a plane and headed to Pristina, Kosovo.
Wow.
And it was so outside of my normal things that I would go do. And I remember clearly at the time, I only used my little card sending app. I have an app that I use to send cards, which I think you're going to share later too. But I love to send cards to people. I've always loved to send cards to people. I never dreamed in a million years that that little hobby could be used for the gospel.
Right.
So I was on a plane and I'm headed over there. It's 2018. At the time, I was just a customer of Send Out Cards and had never shared it really with anybody as far as earning money. I didn't want a job, didn't need a job, not looking. And as I sat on that plane thinking, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to be a blessing to my friend. And when you think you're going to go be a blessing, the Lord goes, I'm using you today. I need you to go do some things. And I heard in my spirit him say, I need you to be a missionary.
Wow.
And I was like, have you met me? Like, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
I'm the equipper. Like I send the people, like I make sure they have what they need. And I said, well, Lord, I don't have a platform. I don't have an audience. I don't have a mission field. And he said, you will.
Wow.
And so, of course, I went and visited my friend. We had a ball. We had lots of girl time. We fed the cows that roam around the city, and, it was all so fun. And I came back home, and within the next 60 days, 3 different business owners asked me, how do you send cards? That kind of tool would help my business. And so I showed them, and I began to earn a little bit of money from them using it. Because it has an affiliate portion to it.
Right.
And I was like, this is kind of cool. This is money that we don't actually need for our budget. I could give this away. And from those 3 people and my willingness to say, okay, I'll share as the Lord sends them to me.
Right.
Today, I have almost 1,100 customers. I have had hundreds of gospel conversations with people I never would have met otherwise.
Right.
And I'm teaching other business women how to use their business as their mission field.
Wow. That's incredible.
Never in a million years would I have guessed this cute little card company that just was my hobby has funded hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars of missions around the world.
Right.
Because I went and I was just willing to say, well, I have spoken on stages now to crowds of hundreds.
Wow.
So the doors that this little company has opened up for me for the Lord.
Right.
Because I was willing to be obedient. I'm still stubborn. I still resist being obedient some days. I still make mistakes. I still say the wrong thing. I make typos if you follow me on social media, it is a hot mess.
Yeah.
But somehow or another, it grows by 6, 7, sometimes 20 a day. And I'm still like, why are you people following me? Don't you know that this is a train wreck with glitter and icing on it?
I think people love real. I think
they are. Right. Yeah. And so I'm teaching other women now what I just did. Because there's people I follow that have 3 million followers.
Right.
And they tell me, I can't teach what you're teaching because I did this 20 years ago and things were different when I grew, but I'm growing now. And so I can grow and then turn around and teach other women how to grow authentically.
Right.
And be authentically leading with the gospel.
Right.
Which is not comfortable. It's awkward and it's controversial and it's offensive. But to love one another.
Right.
Yes, of course, I want people to mail cards because the more cards that go out, the more money I make and the more money I get to give away.
Right. Twofold. Right.
Right.
You get the give the message of Jesus, right? Which is what we're all called to do, the Great Commission to go and make disciples. And second of all, you get to do the go part by you're multiplying your go by allowing others to become involved in something, whether they need money for groceries or whether they want to support missions. I have a daughter who has a little fund that she just puts a little bit away every week, and she puts it in a savings account so that she has money to give when there's special offerings at her church. I was so touched when she told me she's doing that. She goes, but it's not much, Mom. And I said, but it's the heart, right? And
I was just going to say, the Lord doesn't care about much.
No. Yeah. He cares about us doing it. Right. And I love that, you're seeing this as a twofold mission, I guess I'm going to just use my words.
It is.
And the fact that you're going with giving people the opportunity to possibly support missions or whatever. You're not putting a limit on how or why they use this opportunity, but you're also telling the gospel as you do it. I mean, you can't go to your social media without hearing about Jesus. Like I said, you said, if you're going to follow me, you're going to hear about Jesus and you're going to hear about sending out cards. And I was like, well, that's plain.
Yeah.
Everybody who follows you knows that's what you do. And God has just blessed it. And I've just been so enamored, you know what I mean, with your style and just the openness. And I love the fact that you make mistakes because we're human. It just shows that we're real.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
You know, if I have to be the perfect poster child woman, then I might as well get offline because that's just not who I am. And you know, and
Well, and I
that's
think
why I
that's
reach out.
one thing that I think that's one thing that we are, it's almost damaging to the younger generation that's coming up.
Yeah.
What my youngest son has a girlfriend of 3 years, and she and I chat a lot about her generation and my generation, and we're on the same mission,
Right.
but we have to present it so that our audience, if you will,
No, it's true.
will get on board with us and
Exactly. One of the
be
things one of the
on the
things I
same
teach is
mission.
exactly is that the message never changes. Jesus is the only way,
Yep.
right? But the method in which we tell that message can change. And sometimes people get upset because we change the method. But you know, even Paul, he changed how he spoke when he went into different cities to reach the people there, but his message never changes.
Yeah.
And so I love that. I love that about you. I just want to back up for a couple of seconds. You said a couple of things that I want to make sure our audience understands. Let's talk about two things. The first thing I want you to address, if you don't mind, because I'm going to be the Q&A person today. So you talked about how I'm going to put my words in your mouth. You didn't realize that your little hobby of giving out cards, that God could use that. And I think
Right.
there's lots of people out there that have little things that they do, but they don't see how God could use it because it's just natural to them. I think we don't realize our own personal gifts because we think, well, that's nothing. But look what God has turned that into, right?
Sure.
Have you found that to be true?
So I worked with a young girl. It was just about a week ago, and she contacted me cold online and said, I need to earn some extra money, but I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this. I'm not good at this. Like I don't have an influence. I don't have a following. I don't have this. She saw all of the things that she could not do.
Mm-hmm.
I said, what do you love? And what are some of the things that people come to you for and ask you about?
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I'm really good at making sourdough. I said, okay. So I can show you how to create maybe some PDFs, maybe some cheat sheets, maybe some things that you've already figured out, and then help you teach this to others because sourdough's yum.
Yeah.
And sourdough's good for your gut, and sourdough's cool.
Yeah.
But people don't touch it because it's big, scary, and sticky. And
scary and
I
sticky.
can show you how to monetize that and grow an audience of people that want to do this. So pretty much anything that anybody comes to me with, I can help them niche down a little bit. What are you good at?
Yep.
And turn around and monetize that. And I do get a little bit of pushback sometimes when somebody says, well, I don't want to always be making money. Well, somebody's making money.
Right.
And what are they doing with it?
That's like the fruit of what we do, right? It's not the purpose, but
so
yeah,
at
there
least
is
if
money
God's
attached to it.
people are making more money,
Right.
more of his mission goes out quicker, right? I just feel like there's been this in the Christian culture that if we make a lot of money, that somehow we're not being humble or obedient
or holy. Oh, absolutely.
that
Yeah,
somehow
there's a
that's not
misnomer on that. Yeah.
okay.
That
And
Christians should be poor, and that's not true. There's no place in the word that says that. No place.
so I want to help these folks. In 2018, when my husband changed jobs, not of his choice. His company closed and then he moved to a new job.
Mhm.
That first year was a 54% pay cut that
Wow.
lasted for the whole 12 months.
Right.
God had directed us 10 years ago to get debt free.
Mhm.
That is what made it so that I didn't have to hurry up and go get a job that year,
Mhm.
because we had been obedient 10 years ago to get debt free, and that let us last through that year. But our level of giving, obviously, because we give
Well.
percentages,
Mhm.
went way down. But God knows our heart. And he reminded me that year, I own all of it.
Right.
I don't need your salary. I don't need your job. I just
Yep.
need your heart.
Yeah.
So while I was standing in my living room one afternoon, looked out on my back deck, and there was a white envelope on my back deck.
Wow.
It was during that year.
Mhm.
And God, knowing my heart for giving, that I love to give. We as a family love to give.
Right.
And that was curbed a little bit. We still gave, but it was out of sacrifice and not abundance like normal.
Right.
There was $500 cash in that envelope,
Wow.
and a note from a no one
Right.
typed out that said, we had this extra money. We didn't know where to give it to, but the Lord directed us to give it to you guys so that you could give it to who needed it, because we knew that you
Wow.
knew who needed it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was such a message from the Lord that said, I don't care how much your paycheck is.
Mhm.
You're the giver.
Yeah.
And the givers are so much happier than the getters.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
And my boys will never forget that, because they were able to get to witness and experience the abundance of the Lord,
Right.
and what it means when you become a river and not a reservoir. He
So
will
true.
he'll flow all of his blessings through you,
Right.
even if you don't have the means in and of yourself. And
Exactly.
how fun is that? It's just, I just love it. I love the way he works. And that's not to say, if somebody listening to this on the replay is going to be like, oh, well, sure, you've got all this money and da da da. There's also blessings in suffering.
Yeah.
Suffering and lack and need are also tools that the Lord uses to shape us and build our character. There has been suffering in our lives,
Right.
and we also turn to the Lord during times of suffering.
Yep.
So it's not to say somebody looks at this and looks at me and says, well, yeah, y'all got it made now. Well,
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
weren't on social media 12 years ago when we like.
Well, and we never know what goes ahead. And that, that's the thing, is that it's the point, like you said, we just follow the Lord, he's the one who's in charge. We do his purposes. And then that's what the scripture says, Matthew 6, right? That
Mhm.
we put his kingdom first, then he adds all the rest. He takes us through desert periods, just like the children of Israel, to
Right.
learn things and to learn to trust him and to hear his voice and to know that he's going to bring water out of a rock if he needs to, right?
Right.
Or he's going to bring little bread that comes down onto the earth, right? That they couldn't save for 24 hours, because we tend to be hoarders and hang on, right? And
We
he's just
do,
saying,
right?
no,
I'm going to need
let
this someday. I
go.
better keep
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And let him flow through us and trust that he give this to me today. He's going to give me what I need tomorrow. So good.
Right. I'm reminded, I've got this somebody gifted me this one year for Christmas, and I think she just got it off Etsy. They're just little verse cards, but they're
Right.
personalized. And this was the one that I had this morning. And it just reminds me why I'm doing what I'm doing. First
Yep.
Corinthians 16:14, but it says, April,
Mm-hmm.
let all that you do be done in love. And it just reminds me that he needs to build my character. And sometimes I need to
Right.
be humbled.
Yeah.
And that's because he loves me.
Yeah. 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 I look back at some of the most painful things in my life, and I treasure those the most because I grew the most. And it changed my mindset, and it took me out of where I was and put me into a new place. I didn't like the process at the time, But
Nobody
even
does.
then I knew that God was doing something in me. But I
Yeah.
look back now and I treasure those times because they allowed me to become who I am now. Now, not saying I may not, that'll never happen to me again, but I do have a period in my life where I was so low. And I told the Lord, get everything out because I never want to go this low again. And he did. Now I've had some
Yeah.
setbacks, but I've never had to go that low again because I allowed him to do the work while I was down. And
Right.
I even prayed that. What a scary prayer as I look back now. But I said, keep me down until you have what you need out because I never want to come here again. Let's do it now.
Yeah,
And we did, we just dealt with some stuff.
for sure.
Another thing, there were two words that you used and you and I use them very often. And I want to make sure that we, for those who may not know what we're talking about, I think they're pretty clear for us, but I just want to make sure you use the word niche and you use the word affiliate. So talk a little bit about what those two words are for those who may not, I think they understand the concept, but
Sure.
may not understand the word.
Well, and online marketers resist they resist the word niche because, as an example for me, when somebody says, who's your ideal customer?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, anybody with a mailbox. Well, no, that's too broad
Yeah.
because people are not searching online for anybody with a mailbox.
Right.
You want to serve a group of people and
Right.
then make sure your audience of that group of people. So one of the people that I follow online is Rachel Miller. She's a genius at building audiences.
Yep.
One of her golden rules is when you niche down or pick a niche,
Mm-hmm.
make sure that group of people has at least 1 million people in it.
Right.
So in other words, you would not pick people people that are left-handed with blue hair that only have one leg that have a dog.
Right.
That's probably only about 5 people.
Yeah.
So that can't be your audience. But my audience that I've decided to concentrate on
Mm-hmm.
till the Lord tells me to change it
Right.
is women in business, teaching them how to lead with the gospel.
Right.
That is tough because
It
they're
is.
scared to do that. Everything in them says, don't get controversial, don't get this, that, and the other thing. But what I'm not teaching them to do is get out there and throw the Bible at people and hit them in the head. But I'm
Right.
teaching them just like this,
Mm-hmm.
let everything that you do be done in love and empower and encourage those around you to stand up for their faith
Right.
and say, Jesus is the only way you're going to get to heaven.
Yep.
There's a bunch of different ways to get noticed on Instagram, but there's only one way to get to heaven. So that is
Exactly.
what we mean when we say, pick a niche down,
Right.
it's okay to get in that funnel. And then you're going to picture the people on the internet like you're throwing them into a colander.
Mm-hmm.
You're sifting and sorting the folks that already are looking for what you offer.
Mm-hmm.
And then you make sure that you're speaking their language and posting to them instead of just posting the way you talk. And Rachel teaches all this in her courses. So that flows into the next question of yours, which is affiliate.
Right.
When as an example, here's a good example. I love, love, love these breeches. And I'm going to talk about them this afternoon on one of my lives because they are butter soft. They're so wonderful. I do a lot of traveling, and the person who sells them, when I buy from her, the breeches company, it's not the name of the company, gives her a commission. So that is when we say affiliate marketing, that's what we talk about. These earrings are in my Amazon store.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon pays me to be an influencer so that when I talk about these earrings and then say, here's my link, and someone clicks on that link and shops, Amazon pays me.
Right. Doesn't cost the customer anymore.
Doesn't cost the customer
Right.
anymore.
The
Amazon is basically paying you to advertise their stuff.
right.
So as a result, a local insurance agent called me because I'm friends with his wife and said, our insurance agency needs to mail out holiday cards. Are we too late? I said, no. Yesterday morning, we uploaded his CSV file of 1,798 contacts.
Wow.
We chose a holiday card, not like this, but
Right.
and his branding was on the back of it. And we hit go. And the company will print them, stuff them, mail them, and ship them out.
Right.
It happened the very next morning. So they're already all in the mail.
Right.
And I got paid because he used my link to do it.
Right. Exactly. And they know of you because you know his wife, and they also know who you are because there's just no way to not know that you love Jesus, because
Right.
that's what our conversation is. I
Yes.
just did a live few days ago about the abundance of the heart are the treasures of our heart. What's in there is going to come out. And if Jesus is in there, he should be coming out of how we're speaking. And
Right.
it just
I
shouldn't have
just
to follow
realized,
somebody very long to figure it out, right?
right. I just realized the card I'm picking up is from the founder of Send Out Cards.
Okay.
He was thanking me for something. And it says, may your promptings guide you. My promptings come from the Holy Spirit, right?
Right. Right.
And then what you just said, the reason why that person called me to do cards for him was because of a relationship that I had, which is the name of his book, The Power of Human Connection. How relationship marketing is transforming the way people succeed, Cody Bateman. So all of those cool things just dovetail perfectly into, you can run a business, build relationships, earn money, share the gospel. Like, that is my mission field. And I would never have called this a mission field 5 years ago.
Right. You just send out cards. You just like to send out cards, right?
Right.
I mean,
and now
how can God use that, right?
It has dovetailed me into 8 different income streams, so that if a young woman comes to me and says, I got 4 kids, I don't have time to do cards, I don't want to do cards, they're not my thing, what else you got? Yeah. I've got 7 other things that pay me. And yesterday was my first day to earn 4 figures in one day.
Wow.
From all of those combined sources. Praise the Lord. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Because next week, I'm going to start writing some missionary Christmas checks.
Yeah, exactly.
Won't that be so fun to message them and say, ta-da.
Hey, I got blessed. I'm blessing you, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
My Christmas bonus is flowing through.
So when you talked about niches, you talk, so we've jokingly called you the send out card lady, right? Or the card lady.
Yeah, I have been known as the card lady for quite some time.
Lady. Yeah. So, but I mean, you do other things, but but then also this young girl who called you, and you were able to help her, that you're teaching her how to use her ability to make sourdough, right?
Right.
And there's just so much that people, their own personal gifts, we just think those are normal and everybody else has got them. They wouldn't want what I know.
Sourdough scares me.
We have this misnomer that everybody knows what we know, but that's not true.
It's not. It's not. If you get, I've killed too many starters for sourdough to know that it's not easy and very scary.
Right, exactly. So, is there anything else that you want to share with us today, April, about what you're doing, and what you would say to some woman out there who's looking? Number one, there's, I think there's probably 3 or 4 different things. Someone who wants to feel like, or is being prompted by the Lord, that they need to do more for the kingdom. Number one, I think there are people out there that they know in their heart that going to church on Sunday, of which I'm not, that's, that we need to do that, but they want to do more for the kingdom, but they don't feel like they're called to be a missionary. I went on mission trips to prove I'm not a missionary, and believe me, I proved it. So I'm not a missionary, but I know the importance of missions. So I need to be involved in supporting those kinds of things. Or maybe there's someone out there that they're struggling. They need an extra $50 to buy groceries or to pay their light bill. any of those, or and the Lord saying, look, I'm sending you the answer through these two women. These women can help you. They can point you up. My niche is definitely very spiritual. My whole purpose is I'm a minister of the gospel, and my purpose is to help people get set free from the bondages of what they're in.
Right.
So I'm in your face. That's what I do. That is my niche. But you're doing the same thing. You're just doing it differently than how I'm doing it. And then I do other things that support, and you're kind of doing it the opposite way. You're doing those things to support the ministry.
Right.
So God can use all kinds of things. And I think we just get stuck in our little heads and we think we don't have anything. And that's not true. One of my big soapboxes is that every person has a gift. The Bible tells us that everyone has a gift, and that we've been given that gift to share with other people. And none of us are an island. We all need one another. So I won't take over your time because I can preach it, girl.
Yes.
But anyway, what else could you do? Is there anything that we missed today, April? I love your story. I love that this is a call from God to send.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
I think that, sorry, my Instacart just showed up and my dogs want to let me know. I think that one of the things that Satan wants to do is make us feel like we're inadequate and let that stop us from being obedient to God. But what God says is, yeah, you are inadequate without me.
Perfect. Yeah.
And so the world says, you're enough. You have the power within you. You can, make anything happen that you want to make happen. You just need to think it. And I'm like, God is left out of all of those little tricky things, right? So we have to start with his power, because without it, we truly are nothing.
Yeah.
And I just want to encourage anyone listening to this. You have something to share with the world that will help bring them to Christ, to an understanding of his love.
Right.
And be bold enough and brave enough to walk in that calling. We're all called to do something.
Yeah.
And there are days when I've been on the receiving end, and there are days when I've been on the giving end.
Right.
I enjoy the giving end better, but the receiving end is where the brokenness and where the healing and where the strength really truly comes from.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid. Whoever's listening to this today, don't be afraid to be broken, because I have 2 teenage boys. Well, they're not teenagers anymore. They're grown people. They're 19 and 21 as of this recording. And I said to the Lord when they were young, God, do whatever you need to do to mold them, to make them your vessel. And then in my heart, I would always say, but don't make it hurt too bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Our mama hearts are like, oh,
don't make it hurt too bad. But if we let God do his work, the rewards.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to reach out and build a community. Yeah. They can reach out to you. They can reach out to me. This is what we're here for. This is why I am public about what I'm doing.
Right.
Is because there's people who are lonely in a crowd that are like, nobody sees me.
Yeah.
Which is a message that I get a lot. I screenshot my messages that I get when I send cards, because I have hundreds of text messages from people over the years that say, I got your card. And it was the only thing that reminded me that God had not forgotten about me. Yeah. Wow. That was just a card. I sent it on a whim.
Right. Yeah.
And people have said it's the only birthday card I got.
Wow. Yeah, people just don't send cards anymore, and I love getting mail. I love getting because
Yes.
there's just that extra for getting something in the mail. But
This is one of my favorites. My friend Kathy sent this to me. Hey, guess what? You're pretty amazing. Just thought you'd like to know. And then it's just because day.
that's nice.
I mean, the internet's got a day for everything, right?
Oh yeah,
So when
exactly.
somebody tells me, like, we have a challenge going on and they can use your link,
Mhm.
however they find it,
Right.
it's called the 10 card challenge. 10
That's
cards, $20. You got 20 days to do it.
yeah,
And people say to me, I don't know 10 people.
yeah.
Really?
Well, right now you could use it for your Christmas cards, right?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. You could do
I
it for
mean, you do know 10 people.
yeah.
You've got pastors, you've got neighbors, you've got the guy at the Kroger, you've
Mhm.
got your relatives that you haven't talked to in a while.
Right.
And then
Exactly.
they say, well, I don't have their address. Hello, Google. Don't tell me you can't find somebody's address.
No, that's scary actually. It's very scary. So yeah. I love it. I love it. And so those of you who are watching, I just want to say thank you. And I think you fell in love with April just like I did. The girl loves Jesus, right? And I'm all for people who love Jesus. And as you can see it probably on the screen there, you'll see your name is April Brumm. You can find her on social media under that name. Just look up April Brumm. And when this goes out onto our pages and when we send this out, I'll put some other contact information, and either myself or April, I'm not about, this is all about me. This is for sure. April or myself, we would love to speak with you to help you either spiritually, to pray with you, to get you started online, help you discern what your gifts are, what God would have you use, or it just and I always say, or just pray over you. But prayer sometimes is some of the most wonderful things, is just to hear that God sees you, he hears you, right? And as April was talking, that's one of the things that he's just been speaking to me about, the thousands of women out there that aren't feel like they're not even being seen, they're not being heard, they're not being valued. And I'm here to tell you today that Jesus sees you. He hears you and he values you. And not only that, he has a plan and a purpose for your life. And if you need help getting connected, send me a message, send April a message. We'd love to minister to you. Also, if you're looking for a way to support missions or to buy groceries, either April or myself will get you connected and will help you get started on that path. I just wanted to again say thank you, April. I love your message. I did not know your starter story. Like I said, I just fell in love with, if you're going to hear from me, you're going to hear about Jesus and sending cards. And so very plain,
I just
but
think they
I
need to
love
be
it.
warned.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, that's right. And sometimes we're so afraid to offend people, but Jesus wasn't afraid to offend people. We don't do it in vicious ways. We do it because we want them to be saved. And it's wonderful to save people to go to heaven, and that's fabulous. But for me, when I needed Jesus, I needed him then, and I need him every day. The bonus is going to heaven someday, but he's with me every day.
Yep.
And he speaks to me and talks to me and tells me that he loves me and he sees me and he hears me and he values me and he gives me a purpose, right? And he'll do that for you. So anyway, we just want to say thank you for joining us on Wednesday webinar. I want to just say, all of you say a big thank you to April. I say thank you to April. Thank you so much. And I bless you. And I can foretell that she's going to be back other times in the next few months. So we're forging a really good friendship and helping one another. So God bless you guys. And we'll see you next time on Wednesday.
Yes. Thank you for having me. Bye-bye.